When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Hello everybody and welcome to tonight's coverage of Racers Elite and its Family Traditions RV Rentals Fixed Truck Series. Tonight we visit Kansas Speedway as the quest for a championship reaches its penultimate round here on Maconi Entertainment. Maconi Entertainment is here to bring you action from all types of racing, this series and many others. No matter what you're racing, we can bring the action to life. My name's Shelton Prince. Alongside the booth for tonight's Dylan Coyle, Christian Hill is producing for this evening's coverage from Kansas Speedway. Tonight, going to be the last time on a mile and a half throughout this campaign, Dylan. Now it comes down to how well these drivers play things out this evening, but better yet, how they're able to point themselves, especially with Andrew Teft looking to put a stamp on the championship, make it near impossible to reach with a good run tonight.
I think it's honestly at this point near impossible for anybody to catch Andrew Teft, and that's just because of the amount of drivers that are going to be participating tonight. In all likelihood, if not mathematically just on the maximum size of the field, it's going to be pretty much impossible for anybody to catch up to Andrew Teft. He's got a 17-point advantage here, and what we're seeing right now is somewhere in the realm of 19 or so drivers currently registered for this race, and maybe less than that. So it's going to be almost impossible. Andrew's going to have a race where he wrecks out, which means that fast repair is not enough to make it to the end of this race. What I'm trying to say here, JP, is it's a race for second, I think.
Especially with what we've seen consistency-wise in the long runs for the Chicken Coop Racing Machine. Just needs to be able to have a good run tonight. I'll be very comfortable for 5 legs to decide how things play out in the standings. But remember, we are at Kansas tonight. Penultimate race of the campaign. Last of the mile and a half, 2 short tracks, 2 mile and a halves, a part of the championship quest. 105 laps going to be a part of that docket tonight. It's going to get interesting, especially knowing how Kansas races with some of the ability on the top line. But better yet, how these drivers will try and carry momentum around here with these trucks.
Yeah, this is going to be a very draft-heavy race. These drivers are going to be able to race in the pack a lot tonight. This is a progressive banking sort of racetrack here where the banking does vary from the lower end grooves to the higher grooves up against the wall. It makes for some really exciting racing, especially when you've got some quicker cars, quicker trucks, if you will, in the race. However, we're going to see a very not super speedway-esque race, but as close as you can get there without it necessarily being Echo Park Speedway or anywhere else on the calendar where you just don't have to use the brakes.
It's going to be a fun night, though, I will say, potentially for some passing opportunities early in the runs. Have to really see where things shake up. Remember, this series does have that fuel number being at 65%, so expect a decent amount of pit stops here once more here at Kansas. So, who are you watching out for the most tonight, especially knowing qualifying is still underway? And once again, it is not drivers you would expect on the pole. It is drivers like San Filippo trying to perform and make a difference tonight to see if they can get a splash win.
I mean, I'm not exactly shocked, Brandon Sanfilippo. He's already recorded 1 pole this season, so he ties the season high amongst all the drivers for what looks like 2 pole positions as qualifying has just wrapped up. Actually, the poles have been spread very evenly across all of the field. Andrew Teft, now Brandon Sanfilippo, as well as Riley Frost all lead the way with 2 pole positions. The vast majority have 1 or 0, but it's not as runaway as you'd expect. If we look at the wins, Andrew Teft comes into this race with 5 wins of his own. The next closest only has 2 victories, and Brandon Sanfilippo is going to look to make it 2 victories of his own here tonight.
So we'll find out how things play out this evening. For 105 laps, it's Sanfilippo on the pole. Alex Gates was 16 thousandths off that pole time. He'll start tonight in second. Third goes Riley Frost with Blair Hollyman rounding out the top 4, rounded by Andrew Teft. Kirby Wainscott will start in 6th this evening. 7th goes Sean Dunaway. Philip Archibald starts alongside in row number 4. A change of look tonight for Troy Thomas. He'll start in 9th. Truth Hoke starts in 10th.
Going down the order, the Curtis Ecker will start in P11 with Jesse Fox alongside in that 69 truck in P12. Barry Nelson, 13th place, just over a 10th and almost 300th behind that into 13th. Frank Chavez in 14th. In row number 8, Kensley Smith in 15th. Alex Teft in that 43 machine down in 16th, not even 2/10 back. That's how close this field is tonight. It's going to be a good show. I'm excited with Kyle Hess, Rowan Lloyd not setting qualifying times. They'll try to go up from the rear of the field. And of course, to round out, that is row number 9 of this field. One pace lap. Goodness me, JP, I can't speak. 1 pace lap before we get going here under the daylight.
It's going to be an interesting one tonight as these drivers will race in late afternoon conditions. Here's a look at your race analysis on screen. Remember, in this field, they'll have 4 tire sets in the pit lane, 1 faster pair available. If it comes down to it, a couple green, white checkers also. It is actually open setup in session as well. So setup's going to matter a lot for these drivers tonight in theory also. So we'll keep an eye on how these drivers perform. That being said, we're happy to have you with us here at Maconi Entertainment for tonight's coverage of Racers Elite. The temperature's fairly cool. The drivers about to rumble. Coming up to the start zone, it's Sanfilippo, it's Gates. Green flag is up, we're underway from Kansas City. Top 2 breakaway, Frost working the bottom. Teft is already to 3rd. And already a stellar start for the 98 machine. Dunaway already going to 4th position also. Allwell Gates, he's going nowhere.
Yeah, everybody here is so condensed together, and that's the way it's going to be for quite a while here tonight. It should be a 2-stop strategy here with 65% fuel. They can probably go around 80 miles on a full tank, with it being around 52 miles on a non-full tank. We're definitely looking at least a 2-stop strategy. Going to be an interesting race here tonight.
Going to be a curious night, absolutely, for the field, as Teft, we know, usually doesn't put the afterburners on until after the pit stop sequence. Right now, looking stellar to begin things off within a tenth of the pace of the race leaders already and within their draft. Expecting the bottom to be the main line to be the shortest around with momentum, like you see the track like Vegas. So critical, Dylan. So a majority of the field making it clear, just wrap the white line and save the tire.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. These drivers, it's not even just about saving the tires, right? You don't scrub off too much speed going through the corners here at Kansas in a truck. So these drivers know that. They'll try and gain and keep as much momentum as possible. You already see a move for third. Andrew Teft trying to defend Blair Hollyman. These two are, of course, fighting in the championship right now. Hollyman second place, but 17 points back. Even if he wins tonight, no matter what, he would only gain 5 total points if Teft finished in behind second, or at least somewhere in that realm. So Hollyman's got to win and just get as many bonus points as he possibly can tonight to try and give himself a fighting chance at overtaking Teft.
Right now, they're just taking their time to be able to pace themselves here in the early going. All while Frost gets shuffled. Already under 100 laps to go. Still very early as Sanfilippo holds on for now. So, all that being said here, a couple drivers, by the way here, interesting enough, are using that top line here, Glenn. Not too many of them yet in 3 and 4. So a couple drivers are trying to work it in, see if they can get some runs there. Try something different in clean air compared to having to stay in dirty air by running the bottom.
Yeah, and, you know, the dirty air isn't going to be that massive of an effect as Blair Hollyman goes down the inside of Brandon Sanfilippo. Sanfilippo way up on that third of 4 relatively large grooves and lanes here, and he concedes the position. Riley Frost trying to make a move down the inside to go into second place. Looks even ahead to go into P1, could not send it in, and just go side by side now for P2.
So Hollyman, we've seen this a little bit in Charlotte, charging ahead at this point of the run. We know how good that 32 was short to mid run early on in the Zuyos racing machine last week. Looks like Sanfilippo though going for the crossover, cutting to the inside on the apron, going for the race lead yet again. How hard does Hollyman fight it is the thing. It looks like he'll let him have it. He let the throttle burp a little bit.
Wow, and the 12 did not come up to try and put an aggressive block on that 32 right there. So Hollyman was able to get a little bit of a run on the outside, but relented down that straightaway. And as they come across the front stretch start-finish line, they are neck and neck as we get to lap 10.
Back and forth they go on crossovers and lane choices down the front stretch. Teft 2 drop down to 5th, by the way. Already back up to the 3rd spot too, electing to fall behind both of them. Carvey Wainscott's also been doing solid in this pack. Spin Muscles right in the middle line. Oh wow, it's going to be Hollyman who leads them single file. As a result, there's Wainscott. Now he's under attack though, lost the bottom, and now is looking to try and defend with Dunaway underneath him.
Yeah, you know, this is going to be what we see all throughout the night here for these drivers. So, funnily enough, you know, if we were talking about Talladega, Daytona, these trucks could probably go in the realm of around 32 or so laps. Well, doing the numbers, I think it's going to be somewhere around 36 laps that these drivers can go on a full fuel run. And as we continue to see the times kind of fluctuate here, they have dropped quite a little bit already just because of that tire wear, but it's all spread out throughout the field. It's not like there is too much I want to say, like, too many different situations you can find yourselves in to save tires. It's not like a short track like we'll be at next week with 5 flags, right, where these drivers can use and utilize different strategies as we go 3 wide right now for the lead of this race. Andrew Teff powers his way through to the race lead from 3rd on to 1st in a matter of a few football fields.
Oh, he went a little bit too high, though. 3 wide again. Up the middle, Heumann now tries to clear, but Sanfilippo's got the bottom. Both the 32 and 98 too tight. And just like that, the inside line prevails again. Tapped, still in a compromised position on the high side. All well. You also have Raleigh Frost joining in. Dunaway's in here. Gates with an opportunity. A lot of drivers up here, and still, to get the job done, you need to be to the inside, it seems, and that has been difficult to hold on. Right now, Heumann not willing to block Dylan Ford. None of these drivers willing to scissor block for the bottom of the racetrack.
I mean, again, it's pack racing, right? It's just a little bit of a different style of it. These drivers know that they're not going to be able to get away from each other. So if you do make a move that's a little bit too aggressive, you got to be ready to get that move put on right back to you in just a matter of a lap or so, because this draft is powerful, and we're starting to see that higher line be the preferred line for some of these drivers. It's just faster right now. You're not using as much of the tires as you may have used when you were running on that lower line. Hollyman way up against the wall. You see Sanfilippo is just getting away from this pack because they're all infighting here.
Yeah, so much infighting in this group as they have not stayed calm throughout this entire run. This has been a wild race, to say the very least, early on, but we'll have to see if it holds that way. We expect things to separate the longer these runs go here tonight. Sanfilippo now with the largest lead by 6/10, by the way. So, that being said, you know who's done a good job to join this fight? Look at the back of the pack here. Kensley Smith, up 8, has just joined the fray, albeit they just clipped the apron and just put themselves to the wall. Kensley Smith's been okay until that point.
Well, that's definitely a broadcaster's curse right there, I think. Jot one down for tonight and mark that it was not me. Pretty much everybody still in this race is in this battle, to be quite honest with you. Smith has done a very solid job of cutting and slicing and dicing and all of the phrases to get himself into 7th place. But, I mean, look at the gap between everybody in the field. It's just a 10th or a couple more tenths from there on out. And all of a sudden you get to, 5, 10 positions back. So it's a very close race, and Sean Dunaway in that 01 machine has just got by Andrew Teff. Teff now back in the 4th. That's how quickly things can change here. It really is a super speedway light kind of race.
It has been. It's been difficult to be able to solidify things. Dunaway is now to 3rd, by the way. They have chipped a 10th back onto that lead up front. So it is going down slowly but surely to get up to the rest of the pack. So at this point, pit stop's going to be pretty close here. I'm curious how things break out once they separate out, because Charlotte was kind of that same way too, Dylan, early on. But the pit stops really separated the field once they had to figure out the strategy side of it, the aspect of it rather.
I mean, yeah, and I do think that green flag pit stops at a super speedway like race is going to it's going to lead to a battle of just hitting your marks, right? And we see time and time again drivers getting messed up by their own pit entry, own pit exit. Sometimes they just slide through their box and they have to back up, and all of a sudden you're 2 seconds extra in the pits, if not 3 or 4, and you've lost the entirety of the pack. It's not like you can see these 4-second or so gaps come down easily as if you do, for example, an overcut of sorts. So you've got to be with the draft. You've got to go in with some other drivers here, and you've got to make it clean. There's going to be a lot of teamwork I would say, once we do get to that green flag pit cycle, if we do get there in 14 or so laps.
Yes, and Jesse Fox has already opened up the window with the pit stop. Kensley Smith has indicated a pit stop coming up.
If that's the case, then these drivers are looking at more of a 3-stop race, because if it's a 2-stop race, then they would need to cut this all into 35-lap stints just to make it to the checkered flag under green flag conditions. If they cannot make it to lap 35, they certainly will not be able to make it on 2 stops. It becomes a 3-stop race at the very least. Jesse Fox, of course, that first pitter of the entire group. Kirby Wainscott also came down pit road.
Yes, so some of the drivers electing to come down a little bit earlier to test out some strategy. Wainscott in particular was part of the lead pack, so was Smith for a little bit. But the race lead has been reeled in because Hoyman is on the outside of San Filippo right now, and he's trying to build the run, try and make a pass for the high side for the first time.
It's all about the draft, right? Even if you're a half second in front, you're not going to be able to hold on to that advantage for very long. Sooner or later, the pack finds you, and Blair Olliman has found Brandon Sanfilippo, and they are side by side crossing the line as we move on to lap 25 of this 105-lap race.
Yes, and now it's going to be back and forth, you'd have to think, until those stops. Right now, by the way, 47 seconds back the difference for Wainscott. Kensley Smith was caught speeding in his pit stop, so Kensley will not be in the conversation. For the race lead again, inside. Sanfilippo outside. Holyman. Dunaway trying to choose middle. Don't know if that's going to work, but all that's well. Andrew Teft is trying to also make a crowding move to the inside. So all sorts of squabbling. Dunaway's trying to break up the status quo here, Dylan, because Holyman and Sanfilippo have been the top two, it feels like, most of the race outside of Andrew Teft a couple times up there. It's been the battle of those with black primaries so far when it comes to race lead.
Yeah, 100%. You know, these drivers, they're definitely putting in the work to stay up in the top 5, right? As we see Holyman again with a bigger run on the outside than Sanfilippo down on the bottom. Andrew Teft now tries that outside line. If this stays the way it is, we've got 6 drivers who are currently in that lead group. It's going to be very difficult without some cooperation from 7th on back, that's Philip Archibald, to try and get within and penetrate this top group. It will be very difficult without some mistakes or a caution.
It's going to be one of those types of races. So what's kind of the mindset as a driver, knowing how this race has kind of gone, where it's, you've mentioned like Echo Park in terms of draft effect. It's almost been like Michigan. Pit window's about to open for Holyman, believe. But Michigan, it almost feels like that way with the way the runs have built up.
Yeah, but I would say it's more like Las Vegas, right? Like these.
That too.
Whenever it's a 1.5 mile track, and it's high banked, and you're racing with these trucks, you know it's going to be a high, fast track. Look at this, Holyman, sliding, wiggling on corner entry, or to pit road, I should say. Sanfilippo and Gates come down as well, and 4 more drivers come down just behind. All right, so JP, this is telling me we've got a 3-stop race.
Yes, indeed. This is going to be a lot of pit stops, possibly. Absolutely. 30, 60, 90 has to be the stint difference. You're talking about potentially pit stops, Dylan, within less than 15 laps to go. If they go the full distance, we might see people undercut on the 3rd stop that stays green. The next wave is already under pit road.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting to me that we've seen these drivers come down at the end of the fuel run, to me that says that they're not too worried about their tire longevity. You know, the temperature on track is 75 degrees. It's going to continue to lower as this race goes on. 68-degree air temperature. Everyone down pit road at this time. So they could only make it around 31 full green flag laps before needing to pit. My other question is, how powerful will an undercut and overcut be? I think we might find out. Kirby Wainscott, Sean Dunaway, those two are in P1 and P2. We'll see how quickly those times kind of fall down for them. So the undercut can be powerful. But my biggest question, and the thing I'm wondering about the most, JP, is say this race goes green the whole way, which it very well could do that. Why didn't you try to cut it in evenly into quarters, in this race? Because you're right, that last stop they can go with an undercut and overcut, whatever they'd like to do, because if they pit at the end of lap 30, lap 60, and lap 90, well, then you only have to go 15 laps. And we have seen tire wear. So my question is then, why don't you try and do it into something like 26 laps or so? It's more even, is it not? 26 lap stints? That should be better on your tires and for your overall race time, if not by just a few tenths. That could be massive at the end of the day.
That's an interesting point. I know the main thing is, though, Dylan, we've seen a few laps difference at Charlotte. Yeah, massive speed differential in the long run. So that has to be the main concern I can think about, at least, on why they wouldn't do that. At least that's what the team conversation would be, because I remember back in the day, let's talk about a decade ago, on the service, you know what the strategy was in a 100-lap race for, say, an A Open or anything along those lines? You pit every 33 laps, because it was faster to take 2 stops than it was with the fall-off back then. So it's kind of the calculation of how much fall-off will you have in that mark.
Well, there kind of in lies my question here, where you're going, if you went into the pits at the end of lap 26, or for 26 lap stints, 27 laps would be your last run to the checkered. But if you did that, you would save yourself 4 laps of tire wear every single time. That's 16 total laps where you're losing a few tenths each lap. Wouldn't it make more sense to pit where, for example, Curtis Ecker pitted on lap 27? Now he can pit after every lap 26 kind of situation. Kirby Wainscott pit a little earlier for my liking, but most of the field, I mean, hey, if most of the field's doing it, then you're really not going to get too much separation there. I just feel like if you had a few drivers who said, you know what, we're going to make it work on this strategy where we're not going to wait till lap 30 of each stint, we're going to wait till lap 26 of each stint, and just have a longer final run to the checkered, I think that would be a better overall time than a very brief stint to the checkered compared to a very even stint. Am I making sense?
Yeah, you're kind of making sense, yes. I get it. I get what you mean. It's just the counterpoint of, right now Curtis Ecker with the undercut gained a lot of track position, but will it stick? Jesse Fox just pit again. Not sure why Jesse Fox is pitting only after 15 laps again.
Yeah, that makes no sense. I'll say that for sure. I mean, yeah, this is not the right strategy.
Yeah, that's a strategy. It's going to require all the pit stop sets. I've called races, mind you, where I've seen drivers say, I've got all these tire sets, I'm using them. I mean, I'm serious, it does happen. I ran back on Old Atlanta. This happened where it was another one of those 100-lap A Opens, for example. I know there's a point to the story. It was every 25 laps, one of the drivers with the lower I rating, we'll just say that, elected to just call to the radio every 25 laps saying, I am pitting in, would pit off turn 3, which is not how you pit there, and then just take a tire set. By the time he took the final tire set, the field, at least 2 drivers said on the radio, hey, you know you can do better than what you just did here, right? You don't have to take a tire all the sets. So there is some facet of it where some people may just want to use all the sets. Oh, by the way, Blair Hollyman's closed to 4 seconds already and is taking the lead. This is easy.
Yeah, Hollyman has done that quite well. I want to go back and try and see what the gap was when Wayne Scott pitted that first time for him. Because, you know, if he can keep it within a nice little realm here, he might give himself the best possible situation as these pit stops and as the situations kind of play out. Let's take a note of that if we have it go and stay green, JP. Let's take a note of this. Kirby, after 18 laps on his stint, was caught by Blair Hollyman. 7-lap difference between Hollyman and Wayne Scott. I wonder what the gap will be when Wayne Scott does go down pit road again. I would expect Wayne Scott to come in, if he's committed to the strategy that he's kind of put himself in, no later than lap 50. But, you know, who knows? Lap 51, or maybe he'll try and go to the end of his fuel run. We know I'm not always right.
There was a good point brought by Rob Yost Jr., who is not in the field tonight and is apparently able to still attend the race despite doing 12-hour overtime at the moment to watch along with the broadcast. He mentioned a good point. He tried 27 laps per stint, still got a top 5 of it. It didn't win you the race, but it still put him in the decent track position where he was mid-pack before splitting up the stints we seen last time. So that kind of adds to your fuel work. It could be a top 5 play. Race win point, a little bit more difficult. For example, Kirby Wayne Scott getting swarmed for good measure.
I'd like to know from there for Rob where he was when he started his pit strategy, because that's a big note as well to think of.
Yeah, I think he was around 9th or 10th-ish when he did that strategy before.
Well, he said he went from the rear to a top 5. So that means to me, if you're starting from the top 10 on that stint, you could take yourself to a win.
Counterpoint. The difference on tires being 7 laps just got completely swallowed in 4 seconds.
Yeah, but if you stay out for an extra 4 laps every single stint, then that's multiple seconds that you lose.
Correct.
We'll see. I want to see. I just want to see a green flag run. I want to test the theories out.
We have had a lot of fall off in the midst of this conversation, by the way, of 1.4, 1.5 seconds already over the course of 15, 16 laps. All with the field seeing one constant. Blair Hollyman has jumped ahead by 2 seconds. This is not an Andrew Teff domination station night here, where he ran away with Charlotte. This tire, or at least the way this pack is forming up, is in the position where that 32 may be untouchable to reach unless they figure out something quick to gain a few tenths a lap here.
Yeah, it is something notable here. Blair Hollyman has been able to really stretch his legs because the rest of the pack has not been able to get separated from each other. So fair play to Hollyman here. If you can get to 2 seconds in front of everybody else, you're without their you're outside of the range where they're going to be able to slipstream and get a big run through the draft on you. However, these drivers are still fighting amongst themselves. It would make way more sense to just work together to try and catch up to Blair Hollyman. You're working together to eventually try to win the race for yourself.
Yeah, part of that comes with competition. You'd have to think to cooperate with one another to have a shot here. But 57 to go, still pit stops coming up in about 10-ish laps, give or take. A lot to consider. Teff, by the way, 2.5 seconds back of the leader now. Sanfilippo is drifting back here on some slightly older rubber. Raleigh Frost has quietly done well here tonight once again. Raleigh Frost, one of the part-timers this season in the trucks, but he has been 75% when it comes to his top 10 rate in this series. Frost, solid driver in the 96, has contended a couple of times up the front.
Yeah, Riley Frost is one of those drivers that whenever Riley decides that he wants to join a race session, he's always fast, right? He's been less part-time than you would believe, just because Frost has 4 top 5s and 8 starts. Blair Hollyman has 9 starts, so even though we might think, Hollyman's made so many more starts than Riley Frost, well, it's been more so because Riley Frost didn't make the necessary amount of races required to make the playoffs. I think that's why we think of that, right? Because he's so impactful when he's here, but he just missed that one extra race that he needed to be eligible for the playoffs, and he absolutely would have been playoff eligible just by his average points every single time.
Absolutely. So let's find out how this is going to play pretty soon. Oh, they are starting to work together, it looks like, though, by the way, to answer your why not work together here.
Beautiful.
They've closed
They just gained a 10th.
They've gained 3 tenths since Teft has led this pack. So they are well conditioned here. The thing is going to be, pit entry is going to be so important here to gain some time at least. Because Hollyman gained that in part, I think, with how well he entered pit lane in the first place. With how deep he was able to send it without spinning the truck.
Yeah, you know what? I completely forgot about that, even though we were talking about it, JP. That run, that aggressiveness from Blair Hollyman to get down pit road is 1,000% the biggest reason for that difference. He also had a 0.4 of a second quicker stop than Andrew Teft. And in general, the pit lane time was actually only a 0.2 of a second difference between Teft and Hollyman. But where Hollyman gained all of that time was on that, pit entry, which is not timed, which is not brought into that number. He went in, looking like a desperate driver who wants to get into this championship fight. And it really may have paid off for him.
Yes, indeed. Pit stops being called on the radio, it looks like. Once those Roland Lloyd just indicated a stop coming up, as you see Archibald able to battle. Decent night, by the way, for Hess. Brandon Sanfilippo, who had plummeted down the order in the lead pack, has also just gone for a 25-lap stint. Seems to be splitting up 25-25. Halfway, just passed a couple laps ago.
No, it didn't. Did we?
Yes, we did. What is...
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. That's incredible. This has been a quick race.
52.5 laps was the halfway point specifically. But, put it this way, Dylan. Usually 100-lap races in a Cup car can take 40 minutes to an hour at max.
Yeah.
We're on that same rate once again in this field, keeping it clean and keeping it green.
It's kind of amazing how quick some of these races can go without being broken up by stages or by cautions, right? I do love strategy-based green flag racing, as we see Blair Hollyman has decided to go down pit road, and guess what? It was a 26-lap stint.
Yes, indeed. Right on the math. It's going to be simple math from here on out, probably for the final stage. As near contact with Chavez, still haven't entered pit road. The gambler hasn't really had to take too many gambles, but we'll see where things shake up. Teft again,
Hollywood
going
Casino is there.
It is. It is. I don't think they have time to go to the casino from the racetrack, though.
Hey, maybe after this race is over. Blair Hollyman with a 41.8 second pit road time. That time in the stall was actually not too bad, 14.6. It's not going to blow anybody's socks off, but it is right around the average for most of the field, if not in a higher percentile there. So we'll see. We'll see if Hollyman is able to get control of this race back again by the time everyone stops down pit road within a few laps time.
So we'll see things busily pick up here in the next few moments or so. Sanfilippo did cycle in front of Hollyman by a couple seconds, but we know that time it's gone down in bunches. It's only a 2-lap tire difference though between the 12 and the 32. We'll see if this time works. Gaines and Alex Taft have entered pit road this time. 46 laps to go. So, well, I'm very curious if Sanfilippo can make that time stick with only a couple laps difference.
Yeah, so here's really the thing, JP. They've got 45, 46 laps to go. 45 once we cross the stripe one more time. They've got a few options here where they can try and go around to the end of that fuel run to around 30 laps or so, and then go down pit road and get ready for a 15-lap stint to the end, or they split this one in half again, right? Do we do 23 and 22 laps? Do we do a little bit different and we do 20 laps all the way to 25 laps? Who knows? There's a few different options that these drivers have for the taking, and right now it does appear to be Blair Hollyman's race to lose.
Especially with the way things are going, and Hollyman needed some points chipped away here tonight. Have a chance for the championship for 5 flags. Next way, good drivers just finished their service. Riley Frost was the longest this stint at 31 laps. So let's find out how things go. Well, Hollyman's got a massive advantage over the rest of the drivers. Sanfilippo has only been reeled in by Hollyman. The rest of the drivers just went down the backstretch. Gates and Wayne Scott gained a lot of ground as well in this cycle. Net lead changing right now as well. Hollyman is taking it. There it is for the race lead overall now. Take it away easily.
Yeah, an easy job right there for Blair Hollyman. Kirby Wayne Scott, Alex Gates, they've got a couple more laps on their tires, and that will play a difference over the course of this run. But they've put themselves in a situation where they can contend, if not for the race win, then like we were saying earlier with Rob Yost Jr. commenting on our live stream, maybe a top 5, right? We've seen these drivers put some interesting strategies to play, and even if they're just a matter of 4 or 5 lap difference from the rest of the field, it does set up for different situations as this race goes on.
It does. And now, let's see if anyone else joins the conversation here with everything all being considered. The other pack has lost 2 seconds of pit stop right now, Dylan. That's the most amazing thing about all this. That 32 has been perfect on execution. Everybody else has gone just a couple laps longer. It's just destroyed their chances here in every facet to be able to keep up here with the way things have gone with this quick race.
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of if you can get outside of the draft and if you can hit your marks on pit stops, you should be able to put yourself in a good position for the rest of this race. Is that Barry Nelson getting a little bit tight with Curtis Ecker on the outside here. A hairy situation for some drivers we haven't talked about too much tonight. Ecker was working on a different strategy. It's put him into 8th place at the moment, but he's around a few drivers for position and on laps down.
Yep. See right now, Ecker drop all the way down to 9th. Frost again making some charges. Look who's also in the pack here in all of this. By the way, Barry Nelson has been a lap down. Nelson couldn't get into a rhythm off the jump, has now been one of the only couple lapped. Hoke under attack by Frost also. This is for 7th. And it looks like 7th will switch yet again. The Canadian Goes Canada up into that spot, 2 seconds back of the next pack as you see Hoke to lose ground. Quiet night though when talking about some of the championship runners for Troy Thomas. Troy Thomas switched paint schemes tonight in the 3. He's going to be the red machine tonight compared to just the green. You see him in the backdrop right now. Just been a rough night for the 3. Has not even been close to this conversation to join drivers like Ecker and company even inside the top 10.
Yeah, you know, this has been quite impressive for Curtis Ecker, though, I'd say, as this race has gone on. I know he's still trying to get himself. Oh, wow, the 55 with Truth Hope was, it looked like he almost got right in the lane of Ecker, pushed him a bit tight. You know, if we're going to get a caution, JP, it's going to be from this midfield pack, right? It's going to be from the drivers that are kind of scrapping it out right here, just inside the top 10. Because we've seen them get a little bit antsy, we've seen them get aggressive, and this race is starting to reach its crescendo point. So you would have to expect it to come from somewhere in this realm. By the way, we got to give a shout out to Brandon Sanfilippo, who was down the order, and I think he took a 2-tire stop last time by. His lap times have not been that horrible compared to the drivers with a 4-tire stop. This strategy with, oh, look at that, his Hope got really squirrely. This strategy with, you know, being able to split the stage a little bit more easily might end up helping the number 12 out.
Yeah. Now, at this point, things take off. Wayne Scott's in the wall. Kirby Wayne Scott scraping the wall in 3 and 4. Just went too high and scrubbed the paint and some of the wrap off his fender. No major damage, but he did lose a lot of time, dropping him to 7th. Oh, he looks tight. Is not handling well.
Yeah, no, that is not a well handling a race truck right there. It's not an enjoyable driving experience for Kirby Wayne Scott. Please submit your complaints to the walls of Kansas. I don't really know what to say to make this joke sound funny.
Yeah, not a pretty night. All of a sudden for the 10 who's fallen into the second pack. Strategy hasn't worked out the way they've been looking forward to at all. Just about on the green light to make it on fuel, by the way. The gap has gone down 2 seconds for those who are in that big gaggle, by the way, just up the road from the 10. They're within the same margins just about as the previous window. Wayne Scott about to get swallowed up by drivers like Alex Tepp, we haven't talked much about all night. He's up 9 with this pass.
There you go. Pretty solid for him with that move right there, even though that truck has not been handling the way he wanted to at this point in the race. Let's give a quick, mention to a driver that is still racing relatively fairly, but a lap down right there. I was going to mention Barry Nelson. He's not doing all that well in the race, but he is still hanging around the drivers up front. Always like to give a shout out to some of the drivers we don't always talk about, throughout the course of this event, of this race. You know who we haven't said a single word about? 2 drivers in particular tonight. Well, we always talk about Kyle Hess with the Hess truck right there, but I was thinking Rowan Lloyd and Paul Shaw. I don't know how often we get the opportunity to talk about those 2 drivers, but they are actually in a bit of a battle right now with Frank Chavez for P13.
Yeah, Lloyd with the very interesting looking truck has just quite sinkingly been different on strategies, but months those taking early calls on the tires. Chavez, he's just been trying to ride along as time has gone on here. Started about where he's running here in this race. Paul Shaw, meanwhile, he's actually gone up from dead last up to 6th as the race has gone on. So he's just been picking up spots one by one, letting the truck just ride the waves here. Hasn't been in the main pack, but has been decent enough to at least outpace everyone else in this back grouping. He's actually quicker than Troy Thomas, who is 9 seconds up the road also.
You want to hear something really intriguing?
Is it the fact when Scott's pitting?
No, it's the fact that Blair Hollyman is only now 1 second in front of Andrew Teft, the two championship competitors here. Teft has just, once again, we talked about it, Justin, it's all the consistency, and it's Teft having 4-lap fresher tires. There's that number again, 4-lap fresher tires. Andrew Teft is right now putting in lap times almost 3/10 quicker per lap. Just gained another couple right there. He's only around 0.75 seconds behind the race leader. Will we see a change of position before the pit stop cycle restarts for the final time tonight?
We'll have to see. This is going to be pretty critical for this situation here. Teft has a chance, if this works out, to maybe make a battle of it by the time the checker flag waves. Already Hollyman scraping the wall a little bit coming out of the corner. 4-lap tire difference between these two, remember, is partly why this gap has gone down so quick. Hollyman stays on the racetrack. Teft is within drafting distance, and he looks to try and take it away. He's only led 4 laps tonight, Dylan.
Yep, and Andrew Teft is always a threat, always there to the very end. He goes down to the bottom while Hollyman tries to protect up top. Got a little bit loose, Hollyman did, on the exit of turn number 2. Teft will now swap up to the outside. He might have the momentum next lap.
He's got an opportunity to make the move if he wants to here. Troy Thomas up note down pit road. 24 laps into a tire run. Teft looking low. They have Rowan Lloyd down low that they will pass on by here. He's not close enough to actually make the lunge. Believe Dunaway is coming down this time. He just made a call on the radio. So the 01 is indeed going to come down pit road. 3rd place in the strategy. He's down 4th in the strategy, just about piled in Riley Frost. 5th on the strategy also came in. All while Teft is side by side for the race lead, and it's taken the poke in turn 1.
Yeah, Teft with that 3rd of 4 main grooves here. Tried to make the move stick, but the 32 of Blair Hollyman did really nicely to stay put on the outside, running up against the wall. Teft's going to try and slide his way on through, and he does just that into 1st place, as well as Hollyman down to pit road.
So Blair Hollyman coming down the pit lane. How will this work out on the call? Should see a response pretty quickly here from the Tefts. 22 laps to go at the stripe. Hollyman needs a perfect stop if he wants any chance to defend the charge of the 98. As you would expect, Andrew Teft is coming down pit road at the other end of the lane. 4 tires and fuel for the 32.
What an intriguing final little bit we're going to get right here. Blair Hollyman is making a pretty strong audition for the undercut with 22 laps remaining. That's how long he's got to go for this final stage here, which is obviously doable on fuel. It's just how much of a tire difference will there be? We're going to see Andrew Teft has gone down pit road too, so he immediately responded, by the way, JP, to that.
As one would expect in that type of situation. Teft is coming out of pit road right now. Hollyman is still coming around the front straightaway. This could get pretty close on the race out of pit road, coming to 20 laps to go. Dunaway has jumped them both though, along with Frost. Teft comes out just behind Hollyman.
Oh boy, this is quite interesting here. With Teft now back in second provisionally, they're both on even they're both on even tires. What are we hearing right here? Are we hearing a black flag to somebody?
Yeah, it's Andrew Teft having a black flag.
Oh my goodness, Andrew Teft probably sped down pit road. That means so much for this championship. That's exactly the one scenario coming into this one that would have turned the championship battle back into a near tie. Teft going down pit road again. Listen, it's not a wreck early on where he can just use a fast repair. It's with under 18, 19 laps to go where he's just got to go down the pits again. All that effort, all that work, it's for naught. My goodness.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at the tape myself right now. I think it's quite simple. Teft went too early coming up to the blue cone. He went too high up at the blue line by a few feet. And that's now cost him a chance for the win.
Incredible. Incredible scenes here as this barn burner of a matchup between all the drivers involved in this battle. Andrew Teft is just coming out of pit road a lap down. Would you have ever expected this?
No, I would not have, to say the very least. Oh, look at this, though. It's a traffic jam. Bob, right now the 98 has cycled right in the battle for the lucky dog, at least for his sake. Dunaway's the net leader all of a sudden. Jeff Hollyman on the charge, though. Blair Hollyman last time by was 3/10 quicker than your front runners.
Wow. Wow. Andrew Teft is in this buzzsaw right here. 5 drivers under a twin-sized blanket, it seems.
And Gates, mind you, is on near equal footing. This is the highest that Alex Gates has been here tonight. 3 wide offset. They get around Teft this time. Hoyman first to get through, Gates second of it. And Blair Hoyman needs to find a way to get on through without too much trouble. Alex Teft is in. Hoyman is going for second.
Oh man, this is unbelievably intense right now. 15 laps to go in this race, and we're seeing a lot of weird things develop. I should say 16 laps to go. We've got Andrew Teft, obviously, down in 16th, a lap down, with Blair Hollyman, his closest championship rival, trying to force his way through Riley Frost and Sean Dunaway to take the lead of this race. All of these 3 drivers, heck, make it 4 with Alex Gates, could potentially still win this race at Kansas. Andrew Teft, Teft just wants to cause a little bit of chaos. He wants to get back out in front, not have to deal with any free pass situation, even though I don't think it would be the worst possible thing for him to get a free pass, considering the amount of drivers that are also a lap down compared to being at the tail end of the lead lap, but that's neither here nor there. It could be somewhere, but it is not right now. What do you do if you're Teft, JP? You just stay put, let everything happen, or do you try and force some drivers into some uncomfortable situations?
So now we get ready to see how this shapes up. Coming to 13 to go. To answer your question, the point situation, for those may be wondering, this would be a huge swing. Teft in 15th has led laps to at least get a bonus point there. However, regards to the championship, Blair Holyman would be within just a couple points for 5 flags if it holds. Dunaway was a long shot for the championship with him already about 31 back coming into tonight, 21 actually. Both of those drivers with this result are in the hunt. Depending on what happens at 5 flags, and we know how unpredictable a short track can be. So in our words, we talked about, Dylan, how one good run tonight for Andrew Teft secures the championship. This is the opposite of that.
Yeah, this was about worst case scenario right now for Andrew Teft. Up in 15th right now, could easily take 14th away from Paul Shaw. There's around, well, not easily, there's 2.5 seconds between them. and then there's a further, closing into a 10th between Chavez and Shaw right now for 13th place. So no matter how you spin it, that's just another point here, another point there, which will be massive for the way that this championship battle shakes out. You gotta imagine, I mean, Blair Hollyman, he's the closest competitor, came in 17 points back of Andrew Teft. A win is a much more sizable chunk of points than second to third to fourth to fifth. I mean, it means a lot for one of the drivers in this battle to get a win, as Hollyman just inches ahead on the outside to take second. Not clear though.
Not clear yet. Should clear and will clear. 10 laps to go. Hollyman up to second. The tire difference, just a lap between your leaders. Dunaway for the top of the racetrack. Hollyman trying to ramp up the run to get to Dunaway. Lap traffic ahead as well could play a factor. Hollyman pushes hard up the hill. He's scraping the wall. Just can't get the run quite yet as Dunaway blocks it off. Now Hollyman gets the run to the fender.
My goodness, what great battling we have right here. Pretty much everybody in the championship fight has led a lap. That's a bonus point, kind of crossed off for all of them. But the fastest lap of the race still obviously up for grabs, but I do believe it might go to Riley Frost in this one. I correct me if I'm wrong there. Frost is not in that championship battle, so the available bonus points go away. Yeah, Frost does have the fastest lap of the race, as Dunaway and Hollyman both fighting for second in the championship right now, and to get a chance to beat Teft for first. They're side by side for the race lead. Still, what a crazy turn of events.
Still not done. Hollyman looking to clear. Hollyman still has not found a way to get by the 01. Dunaway fights hard again on the inside, still looking for his third win of the season. An arrow block off, another run, 7 laps to go. Hollyman not able to get a switch to the inside, and look who's joined in. Riley Frost has joined the conversation and is now looking to try and disrupt things for the race lead as Hollyman nearly hits the wall.
My word, what unbelievable racing we've got here. To give you a good insight, with it being a 17-point difference between where Blair Hollyman was running and where Andrew Teft in the standings, I believe it was 21 points between Dunaway and Andrew Teft. If you finish 15th, that's 29 race points. If you finish first, that's 46 race points to 42 to finish in second. So that's a 17-point swing if you finish in first and Andrew Teft finishes back in 15th. That's a tie without bonus points being taken into account. Oh, baby. What awesome racing we've got here. But Blair Hollyman needs to get these 4 extra points if he can get to Sean Dunaway. Dunaway's just trying to give himself more of a situation and more of an opportunity to win this championship at 5 flags.
There's slide up the track. Hollyman out of the gas. Frost gets hit from the checkup. Gates gonna check up in time for the 96's checkup. And Frost able to hold on. Gates apologizing on the radio.
Wow. Wow. We're coming down to 4 laps to go here. Heck, we could still get an overtime finish if there is a wreck that happens between these drivers.
So much that could still happen here, absolutely. It's been a wild night for the sake of the field. More opportunities being wound up, Dunaway. Lead just 14 laps so far tonight. 3 laps to go here from Kansas. Gates not able to find a way around Frost in the air battle that's lost a couple tenths. They've now picked up Rowan Lloyd in the heart of the field, and they're now seeing Dunaway actually break away. This is going to be difficult to chip away.
Just a tad, but this race is not over yet. as we come around 2.5 more times to go here, Hollyman is still within that draft, still going to have an opportunity to get another opportunity at P1. Coming to 2 laps to go here. I'm working all the numbers in my head right now. This is the situation that Andrew Teft, given everything going on right now, would prefer. Teft up to 14th. He'd want Dunaway to be the one that wins this race over Blair Hollyman, because that gap between first and second would be larger in this case.
Great opportunities here for the point standings, but it's all going to come down.
Over.
Here we go. White flag is out. Final time around from Kansas. Seconds still up for grabs. Hollyman needs a big set. Dunaway's up the track. Dunaway nearly hits the wall. Frost tries to run the low side. Hollyman slams the wall. Wow. Dunaway's got the cushion. Frost, does he send it? Couldn't get anywhere close on his set. Coming to the final corner, Sean Dunaway will come away with a win at Kansas. How about that finish? How about that strategy? It looked to be Hollyman's race for much of the night. Instead, it's Sean Dunaway who's able to control the strategy with his undercut to get the win here in the Family Traditions RV Rentals Fixed Truck Series.
Yeah, that's quite incredible, and I'm doing the math. It looks like there's going to be, without bonus points, all right? I'm not thinking of bonus points yet, because the only point difference that could play a factor is most laps led. I don't know who that is at the moment. However, there were 30 points gained by Andrew Teft. There were 46 points gained by Sean Dunaway. There was a 21-point difference going in between those two. Now it's 5 points without that most laps led bonus point coming into account. I don't think the 01 has it. I don't think the 98 has it. Even then, Hollyman, you got to imagine the biggest loser of the night right there for how that race was going is Blair Hollyman. Because, I mean, he went from a potential tie in the championship to only gaining 10 or so points. It's going to be tight at 5 flags, but it's still in Teft's control.
Indeed is in his spot now, but it's burnout time for Sean Dunaway.
All right. So that definitely helps, by the way. Blair Hollyman led the most laps. I'll do the math as we start talking about the race results.
Yes, indeed. And at this point, get things sprinted forward here. Why don't we take a look at them here tonight as things went so quickly tonight? Drivers already eager to speak with us. Sean Dunaway and Alex Gates up at the front with Riley Frost in third. We'll speak with them soon. Blair Hollyman, Alex Teft in the top 5. Brandon Sanfilippo, Kirby, Wayne Scott, Curtis Ecker, Phil Archibald, Troy Thomas, your top 10.
Truth Hoke in P11 with Paul Shaw, Frank Chavez, and finishing on the lead lap, Andrew Teft, my goodness, finishing in 14th. Not on the lead lap, Rowan Lloyd, Kensley Smith, Kyle Hess, all a lap down, Barry Nelson, Jesse Fox round out your 19 truck field.
That's all John Spahn with the running order here tonight in this one as we now get set. Speak with your drivers. Sean Dunaway is able to make strategy work here tonight and get the checker flag. Sean, talk us through the final run where you went for a bit of an undercut compared to Hollyman and made it stick.
Yeah, for sure. I think that undercut was the best choice there. My initial thought was I was going to run it long and only take 2 tires there, but I just thought about the lap time and how much that mattered, and I was able to get those tires. Riley was right behind me right as I was getting out of the pits, so I had that draft help. I think that really helped as well. And yeah, was able to luckily block them off at the end there. That was a pretty tough 5 or even 10 laps there at the end, so glad we got it done for sure.
What was the pressure like knowing the charge we've seen from Hollyman to go towards you and everybody else? What was kind of going through your mindset as everyone trying to make their way around you?
Yeah, my thoughts were just like, hey, whatever line they're gonna run behind me, I need to run, just to kind of arrow block them, kind of get them out of their groove. So if you noticed, I was running high sometimes, I was running low sometimes, just to kind of get them off their groove. Use their tires more, get some dirty air on them. So I think it worked out at the end there.
So with that being said, with the bad luck for Andrew Teft in terms of his penalty on the blend rule, now the championship gets a little bit more interesting. You're back by just 5 points, entering Five Flags unofficially. What's it going to take for you to get this championship and beat Andrew Teft to get this title?
Yeah, I still got to win. I think that's the goal. Win some more races. But overall, stay consistent. Last week I was a little inconsistent. I think it was at Charlotte, right? And I hit the wall pretty hard, so I had to really work my way up again. So no mistakes. And yeah, I think that's the name of the game. Just no mistakes, basically.
Any shout you like to give here tonight?
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to thank my wife, my mom and stepdad for always watching, and then my cats for always trying to ruin my race here.
Congratulations on the win tonight, Sean.
Thank you.
Sean Dunaway gets the checker flag here tonight. Alex Gates gets second. He's with Dylan.
Yeah, Alex, you were in that buzzsaw for a long time there in the last little stage of this race, but that strategy call to I think you did was it an undercut? Please correct me if I'm wrong there. A little bit of an undercut earlier on in the race kind of helped you, with tire life and all that. What I'm trying to ask you here, because I'm rambling, is do you feel like the pit strategies played a massive impact for getting yourself into this second place position?
Oh yeah, I think they definitely played a huge impact. If you were to maintain some kind of draft, you were in a good position to kind of help you throughout the race. But I've never really raced here before, so I was really relying on my teammates. They said that typically it's the first 2 pit stops you take 4, and then the third one you take 3, or I'm sorry, you take 2. Coming towards the end, I started to notice that the drivers that took 2, they would be fast and have all that distance between the pack for 7 to 10 laps. But then we were catching them. So I figured instead of running the gas tank to the very end, I'd come in a little bit earlier than everybody else and take 4 and just not take my foot off the gas pedal until the finish line came. So.
Really solid effort there and solid work. Was there a preferred line throughout the run? I know earlier on, right when the race started, it seemed like that low line for everybody was the preferred one, but it seemed really quickly that momentum started finding its way up near the wall.
I mean, I don't know about for everybody else. For me, the preferred line was the bottom lane. That's kind of why it just got swallowed up in the beginning and had to play catch up. I did see a couple of people making it work on the top lane, but for some reason I just could not figure the top lanes out. I kept on getting too tight. I tried it a couple of laps, and both times coming at a 2 and 4, I barely got away from that wall. So I always fought for the bottom lane and waited for somebody else to maybe touch the white line or get a little too tight and kind of just shove my nose right underneath them to pass right by them on the inside. So it's kind of hard to say what was preferred. It seemed like the bottom line was a little bit more dominant towards the end of a long run. But that just might have been the way I was racing. So.
Understood, man. Well, hey, one more race to go. I think while you're not mathematically out of the championship fight, it will be difficult to get the championship away from the top 3. So what's the strategy besides just purely win at Five Flags? To get the elbows out a little bit. What's it look like for you?
I mean, obviously, I'm gonna try to race as clean as I can. Towards the end of the race, if I'm fighting for a win, maybe the elbows will get out. We'll see who it is I'm racing against. Don't really want to leave any a bad taste in anybody's mouth when they say my name or when they're talking about racing against me. But I mean, this is my second season in the Truck Series, so I'm just happy to be able to be fighting in the position I am for the playoffs. So if I have to get my elbows out, I will. But I also got to be smart because I would like to come back for another season. So we got to play it smart.
Very much understood there. I'll give you the floor to give thanks and shout outs to whoever you'd like to tonight, Alex.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Just want to give a big shout out to Andrew for hosting all these races like he always does. For you guys for doing the broadcast. My family and my neighbors really like it. Fortunately, none of my neighbors were able to make the stream tonight. Want to give a huge shout out to the Hunter Lopez Foundation and Mission 22. It's an honor to be able to have both of those on my car, even though it's just a video game. I know they like to watch. Hopefully we'll be able to get this huge race coming up here soon for the Hunter Lopez Foundation. And then want to give my wife and daughter a shout out for putting up with me doing these races every Tuesday and Thursday.
Heck yeah, man. All right. Well, congratulations once again, Alex, on this second place finish. And we'll see you at Five Flags in just a week.
Perfect. Thank you. See you guys then.
All right, Alex Gates finishing in P2. And JP, I believe you're standing by with Riley Frost, who finished in third.
Yes, indeed. Riley Frost able to come away at the third spot. How would you describe your night, Riley, to join the conversation late?
It wasn't too eventful, to be honest. We got there at the end. That's what matters.
Overall, how would you describe the fight to join that lead group all throughout the night? Because we've seen that pack, especially with who is in control of the lead, really spread apart at times on the strategy.
Yeah, I mean, coming out of that last pit, me and Sean, I just tried to get us two up to the front. Didn't want to waste no time fighting with him, trying to pass him. So I think that worked out well for both of us. A lot of give and take up front. It was a pretty good night.
So will we see you at Five Flags? And if so, what's going to be the approach then for that finale?
Hopefully go win that. That's the plan.
Well then, on that note, anyone you want to give a shout out to here tonight?
You guys up here in the booth, Andrew for putting this league on, and Family Traditions.
Congratulations. Oh, pardon me. Congratulations on the run, though, Riley.
Right on, thank you.
Riley Frost, very quick to the point here tonight. I thank the entire top three for speaking with us during post-race coverage here at Maconi Entertainment. Your final thoughts on tonight, Dylan, as we have a championship finale next weekend in Florida.
I'm excited for it. You know, this race was kind of an interesting one, and I mean, I'm very happy to be wrong when it means we've got more excitement to go. And if Andrew Teft getting a speeding penalty or a pit entry penalty, I should say, will lead to a very interesting championship battle in 1 week's time, I say, let me be wrong every single time. It's going to be fun. Only 5 and 6 points separating second and third on to first in this championship fight, JP.
Indeed. On that note, thank everyone for tuning in for tonight's coverage here at Maconi Entertainment. Calling the action up with myself, Justin Prince, alongside Dylan Coyle. Christian Hill was producing. Thanks to our viewers for watching tonight's racing action. We hope you stay tuned to our social media pages for our next race. Thanks to the entire staff for their work in bringing this racing to you. We'll see you next time when we go racing from Five Flags Speedway. This has been a production of Maconi Entertainment. We'll see you October 14th.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.